Hey, it's Keith from Save the Rust, and tonight we're going to continue working on our 1942 Harley. So, got some parts today, and I got a couple things I want to work on. So one of the things I want to address was one of our viewers commented that I had the grip on the wrong side. So I took that into account, and I had to think about it. And then I went and looked at the carburetor. So here's the carburetor. This is your action here. This is your how you increase and decrease your throttle. And what that does is open up a butterfly on the inside of the carburetor. When I started looking at it, I started realizing that's the wrong shaft. Not shaft, but arm. So that's for 49 to 54 big twin overhead valve. So, pan head. So I got this carburetor with this project, and I just assumed, because the guy is a pretty good restorer, that he had the proper arm on the carburetor. Well, it turns out he doesn't. And this is a stock M88. That's your standard carburetor. And right now, so here's the cable wire right here. I got that. So, I put it all the way forward. And as I pull it, there's a cable. You can see the cable goes into the sheath, okay? And then when I go backwards, it's pushing it out. Okay? So here's another M88 carburetor. So right now, with that spiral I have on the bike, when I pull in the throttle, what's happening is it's pulling the cable in, okay? So if this was on the bike, in order for that to work, I'd have to be pulling it this way. Okay? So if I was pulling it on the bike and I was going that same way, I'd be closing the butterfly, which is going to do the opposite of what you want. You want it to open as you throttle up. Allow more air, allow more fuel. Okay? So right now, it would appear that I have the wrong spiral on. Except, this is a WLC. Let me show you the difference. So here we have that carburetor I was just showing you with the stock arm. Okay. And what I have here is I've got a little setup here. This is a stock arm again. You can look at it and see. So this is 27252-37, 37 to 48, 45 cubic inches. And then what happened is this. And you look at this and you go, what is going on with that homemade contraption? What this is WLC modified. Okay? So here's a stock one, here's another one. And right here is from Harley Davidson motorcycle model WLC modification instruction number 2. Throttle, spark, hand clutch, and handbrake changeover. This is by the Canadian Army local. And what it does is it shows you how to make this. Okay. So what it does is it tells you how to make, here's your pattern and how to make this. And what that does is it reverses, and it's a bit smoother action because it's a longer throw. So I'm going to show you again how this works. So again, here's your parts manual. Here's the one we're looking at. Here's the modification, not modification, but here's the overhead valve version. So we'll look here. This is for the base down here, and the arm is here, and that is for 49 to 54 overhead valves. So this is your panhead style. So just showing you the difference between overhead valve and 45. And there's a few of these pieces that are that change up over the years. But what I want to concentrate on is showing you the WLC differences. So here we go. Okay, closed, open. And if I was sitting on the bike this way, right now, it would, when I'm pulling the throttle, when I'd opening the throttle, this would close, okay? Now, you add the WLC only mod. So we'll just put it on here to kind of give you an idea. Just gonna put it on there and then watch the action on this, okay? So what happens is it reverses everything. It reverses the entire mechanism. So now, as I'm throttling and I'm pulling this towards, it's actually going towards the front of the bike, closed, open. So what this does is it reverses the action on the carburetor. That's the WLC mod that is recommended by Harley for WLC. I guess, probably instigated by the Canadian government for whatever reason. If you know why, let me know. So the viewer that responded, I had the spiral on wrong. What I did have wrong was I had the wrong, on the bike, I had the wrong throttle lever. It should be this style. But even this one's wrong because I need this style. So this is the proper WLC throttle lever. Hope you follow that. I hope I made it pretty clear on that. But so for this application, that spiral's correct. So now that we got the carburetor and all those items figured out, let's see what kind of parts we got today. So I got this from Milan's Motorcycle in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I did a little feature on him a couple weeks ago. Great guy. Him and his wife, excellent people. They're Harley XA specialists, but they do have some WLA, WLC pieces. So I like to order from him whenever I can. So let's see what we got here. We got the internal wire for the sparking vents that we are missing. I have a couple of these somewhere, just can't find them. So we got 2 of those, 1 spare. Always tosses a couple of candies. Thanks, Milan. We've got this is a washer for the back brake drum, I believe. Yep. Hex bolts, specific length for the front seat mount, front T-bar seat mount. Rivets, black, for the floorboard mats, so we can get those done finally. Happy about that. And always nice to see. These are this is the updated version, I believe, for the top tank mount. That's that piece in between. Yeah. 33668. Yeah, with so these are dual stock with the original tag. So I got a couple extras, and yeah, excited. A few more parts helps us out. So since we got the proper dual stock bolt for the front CT, I was going to start putting that together. Then realized see that? So what happened is this, after doing a little bit of research, is 1965 and later. It's a 3/8 bolt. Here is the proper one, which is a 5/16 hole. And you can see it goes in nice and tight. So what I had to do is I had to pull it off one of my other bikes over there. The ones that are in the wings are waiting to get done. So again, little I didn't know that till tonight. 2 different sizes of these inner bushings that go in the front of the CT. So we're gonna put this one together. A little bit of grease on it. There's a grease zerk underneath right here. So if you want to grease this, what you have to do is you have to lift up the CT and then pump it full of grease. So we'll just put this one in there. I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on the inside. So now you can see the inner bushing inside the outer bushing. Bit of a tight fit. So one of the things too about this is the if you're sitting on the bike, the left side is threaded and the opposite side isn't. So you just want to make sure you don't try and force it through when it's actually threaded. So we'll put this through, and then what happens is you put a lock washer and a nut on it. And one of the things is you're not trying to tighten this down, like you're not trying to tighten it up and squeeze this pivot point. You want to, bring that bolt all the way up, but it's the lock washer and lock nut that are more meant to be the tightening part. And that's it. So now we have new original bolt in, and we got the right size pin bushing in. While we are talking about the seat, very excited, I sent my seat pan down to Heather's Leathers in North Carolina. Really excited about that. Also ordered a set of saddlebags for this bike. Again, not correct for 42 WLC, but I'm making it how I want. I'm not going to get the bike judge. I want saddlebags. And They do incredible work. I had a seat done for them for a black and white 42 Harley. I did a couple years ago. It was by far the nicest piece on the bike. I was so impressed with them and their work. Check them out. I know they have a Facebook page, they have a website. Really incredible work. So I'm excited about that. Can't wait to get that back and put it on here. It's going to be a tan seat, so looking forward to that. So got the rivets, got the floorboards off. These are new old stock floorboard mats I got from Australia. So I put my first one in, my first rivet in. I'm using the rivet tool, factory Harley rivet tool for doing brake jumps because it's got a little point that I can kind of put the rivet on. And then I'm splitting it because, well, it's a split rivet. Let's try and get you one here. Let's see there. There you go. So that's how it goes in. There's the opposite side. So what happens is, take the floorboard, the holes. This is a factory original floorboard, and then an original floorboard mat, and all the holes are perfect. They line up perfect. So what you do is you just push it in, and then you got to flare out the back and then kind of peen it over. So I've been playing around with the first one, and I don't want to take a chance of wrecking the paint, and I need help. I need someone else to like actually peen it while I hold it in position. It's a three-handed operation. So I'm going to leave this until I get my little helper here where he can hit it. But just so you can see how they look after. This one, I've worked it too much. I got a little bit of the paint is off. So just showing you how the rivets go on. So we'll leave that until I get a third arm or someone else here. So we got our internal wire here from Milan. And what you're going to see is you're going to see right there, there's a little stopper. So what I've already done is taken the stopper and you take the wire and you bend it over. On that end of this little stopper, there's a couple grooves. So that's where you want to put your cable into, and then solder it so it can't come off. You then slide the this little screw that goes into this. This is the piece for that runs into the bar that you put the pin in. You put the washer on. There's a little roller, and then you put the grip on, and that's what follows the spiral inside the grip. So start off by inserting this down the wire. Okay. So then that's what it looks like. Take this piece, you push that in, goes into that cavity, and then this screws on. And then you tighten it up. All right. So then what it looks like is this. Okay, and there's two different types of these internal plungers, I guess that's what they are. So the next thing to do is we already have the internal wire in the bars. We've already have it pinned with the little ferrule that goes in the bar that holds that wire in place. And then what we got to do Because we gotta get this wire into the cable. Okay, so I got it started. You know, feel like kind of getting caught in there, so you gotta kind of work it around. Try not to put a kink in your wire. So we got the wire inside the bars. Had to just make sure that when you're pushing that wire in, that your cable is nice and rounded, not, you know, it doesn't have any funky corners. Otherwise it'll get stuck. That's what happened to me. So just, you know, make sure you got a nice smooth transition. So here's that plunger kind of idea. What I'll do is I'm gonna grease this. All up in here. Be a while. It may be years before you grease this again. So I have no problem putting a little bit extra, you know. So what you want to make sure though is you get that ferrule at the top, so you can put that in. There's the pin. There's a guide on top. You can see how the guide moves. So put the pin in the hole, and then this guide, it's flat on two sides. So that's what goes and rides in that shaft, in that slot. So it'll go back and forth here. Got a bunch of those little pieces. So there's two different size of round guide. So there's the guide that goes into the bar, and then you have the guide that goes into the grip that runs along that spiral. If I can get this apart. So right there, small one, toss that on. Grease this up as much as we can. So then on the very end of it, of the bars, there's one of these. So that's inside the grip that you can't see. So screwdriver. Take your time, you don't want to cross thread this. And that's it. That's it. We'll figure out if we got the right spiral on this side once I attach it to the timer, which I'm waiting on. The reason I haven't hooked up the throttle cable and the Spark Advance cable is I'm waiting on some of the mounts, like the holding mounts, the little fittings that hold the cable in position. Next. So one of the things I wanted to kind of show you is this is the 1942 Canadian only taillight. So it has these little ends on it. Okay. Wire goes on this through this, and then there's a set screw. So you just pinch it on, and then what happens is this goes in to the back and runs into those, you know, your familiar kind of when you put like a 1157 bulb in, how it has those two runs in, and then it turns and it locks it in place. Same idea. And then once you have that in place, you use this little cover, screws on, and that's it. Problem is, this thing's wore right out. The pins, there's barely anything left. So you can see a couple of holes in there. So I've been trying a couple ideas here. So one of them is, I've got a very tiny nail. I took the head off and I've got it inserted in there. It's about the same size as what originally was in there, because the one on this side, the pins are a larger diameter, but they're, again, they don't protrude out far enough. The pins wore down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some epoxy and epoxy these in to position, and then I can and then what I'll do is I'll cut the rest of the nail off, and then, you know, trial and fit it until it's snug and nice and tight. Getting these is a little bit of a problem. They're hard to find, and if they, you know, been around like these ones for 80 years, they're probably in the same condition. So, you know, kind of coming up with another way of saving these pieces. So I think I got it figured out, but just everything's a little bit wore out after 80 years, you know. So the last thing I don't want to do is, you know, epoxy these in so that I can never get them out. Not that you need to, because this side is where the bulbs are. So if they were to, you know, if I'm riding this bike and they start falling out, I'm getting the epoxy, I'm epoxying them in, so I don't have to worry about them. So that's where we are on these, and just to give you an update. And so with that, I'm going to call this video an end. Got some more parts coming in the next couple days, so we can continue doing more work. It's nice to be back on this one, and thanks for following, thanks for subscribing, thanks for buying our merch, and hey, I'm Keith from Save the Russ. This is what we do, this is who we are. Have a great day.